Welcome back, everyone, to Lore with Ludus Infinium. And due to I didn't think the last one would be over. I thought I'd keep it around like 10 minutes, but it came out around 15. I'm going to do these in two separate videos. So we're going to start the canon changes of the traitors with the Emperor's children. And this is actually an interesting one, because Emperor's Children really requires two things. The first being that keeping their more extreme desires in check by following the Emperor's example, and also by not going to lair, I think would keep the third loyal. And part of this is because if they keep their more extreme needs for perfection in check, then I think that there is next to no argument for them to fall to chaos. And this is where I think the Lair Blade had a lot to do with them falling to chaos. Before then, it would have been a lot slower, but it's still doable. Afterwards, it just kind of damned them to it. So I believe if Fulgrim can notice this and notice where they're going too far and not go to Lair, then that keeps the third Legion loyal. Oh yes, the fourth Legion, the Iron Warriors. How do we keep them loyal? Well, actually, this was a lot simpler than some of the others. Instead of using them as fucking cannon fodder, if you use them as not only defensive siege experts, but send small contingents around with other legions to help as build up cities as architects, specifically for defensive fortifications, they're being used as, architects of war, being, specializing in defensive siege, but also committing to offensive sieges as well. So they would be architects of war in that sense, but helping rebuild fortifications and to an extent rebuild cities, be architects for peace as well. And I believe if you kept them in that role and let Perturabo essentially do his own thing, because he was a great architect both for peace and for war, and you let him do that and let him excel at that, then I believe that he would remain loyal to the Emperor. Oh no, this is the one I wasn't looking forward to. The Night Lords and Conrad Kurz. This was actually one I had to think about. So, in the case of Kurz, he doesn't give into his alter ego, set out on punishing all crime and finding ways to deter crime through horrible, horrible means, but seeks a way to prevent crime with as little bloodshed as possible, leading to when people do commit serious crime, they're sent to mandatory exploration services or military service, see penal legions, and lesser crimes are fined and with potential hard labor prison times. Now, going this way, it almost sounds like it turns him into a pacifist, but it really doesn't. Because for, again, murderers and, people who commit serious crimes or who cannot be reformed through the hard labor prisons, they get sent to what the 30k equivalent of a penal legion would be, who have a next to like one mission, living, what's the word I'm looking for here? Basically, life expectancy. That's the word I was looking for. So they would they would almost certainly die. And I think that if Kurz went that way, it would turn him into what he was really supposed to be, which is the judge of the Imperium. Okay, so this is my I will say, out of all of the legions, this one has my biggest cop-out, because I didn't have a good answer for this one, and this is the World Eaters and Angron. So, there's one that makes sense, and one that I had no answer to. So, how do you keep Angron loyal? Well, first off, When the Emperor came to Nuceria to find Angron, he was surrounded on all sides by mortals and was about to be killed. Okay, cool. The Emperor was there with custodians. And if I'm not mistaken, with another legion. I think Sons of Horus, if I'm not mistaken? Or not, well, Luna Wolves at the time. I don't care how big those armies were. With an army of custodians and an army of Legio Astartes, yeah, he could have saved Angron's people. I think that would have been a lot to keep Angron loyal, because that started a lot of the hatred. Now, here's the other part. The Emperor has used a lot of magic, MacGuffin, mumbo-jumbo bullshit before. So either, A, he comes up with a way to remove the butcher's nails, and here's my cop-out, or Angron's just not implemented with him to begin with. Now, in order for that to happen, he would have to land somewhere other than Nuceria, but assuming he lives on Nuceria, the story goes that he was set up in a one-on-one fight with his mentor and closest friend, and the reason he was implemented with the butcher's nails because he refused to kill him. Now, here's the only way I see Angron not being implemented with the butcher's nails. If he realizes that in order to survive, that he has to kill this man, in order to survive long enough to overthrow the cities, then he might not be implemented with them. So, in essence, he will have to see the long-term gain over the short-term, I would call it hurt, but almost decimation. But, so it's one of those things where that's the only way I can see Angron staying loyal, is A, the Emperor would have to save his army of slaves, and B, there would either need to be a way to remove the butcher's nails, or he just not get implemented with them to begin with. Here's another interesting flip. Mortarion turns to Vulcan. well not quite. I'm sorry, that made me laugh. Not quite. So, the way it would have to work is, instead of being a colossal bag of dicks, Mortarion, though displeased at first with the fact that the Dusk Raiders weren't near suicidal with their tactics, grows to appreciate his son's methods, and attempts to integrate new tactics based on survivability rather than attrition, causing a greater bond between his legion as a whole. So in this sense, he does kind of become Vulcan, because he sees this level of near suicidal determination. Actually, he creates it, let's be fair. He creates that suicidal level of attrition in the Death Guard, but instead of going with that, instead of, not seeing that and being upset, he instead sees it as, okay, you know what, here's what we'll do. Y'all have specialized in, this biological warfare, and y'all specialized in, attrition to an extent. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on that survivability. Being out on, long-term missions without much support. That's what they would start to specialize in. And I think that would, not only change what the Death Guard not necessarily look like from the Dusk Raiders, but it would improve them a lot. And that's actually a very, very interesting road to go down. In fact, it might get its own video on what a loyal Death Guard just based on this idea would look like. In fact, what I might do eventually, because let's not forget, I still got my Primarch series that I really want to finish up. But I might go through all these canon change videos and it be essentially what does the Primarch and the Legion look like after these changes, and that would be an interesting road to go down. Let me know in the comments section what y'all think of a video series on that would be. Granted, it'll be a while before it happens, but I would like to know what you all think about it. Okay, here's the one that's gonna get me in trouble. My favorite Legion, the Thousand Sons. How do we keep them loyal? You know that whole arrogant streak that Magnus thought, I know better than everyone? Out the window. So, in this case, Magnus would actually, listen to the Emperor. And instead of crying and going back to his planet and doing research on the warp by himself, he'll stay close to the Emperor when he can to learn what the Emperor is willing to teach him of the warp. Because Magnus does know what the warp is. So naturally he'd be there asking questions like, well, what's this? What's this? What's the point behind this? Stuff like that. And he'll keep that open dialogue with the Emperor based on things he knows in both the warp and the material realm, not only causing a greater amount of trust between the two, but if we do go down the route of one canonical event, which is the formation of the Librarium being formed by Magnus, Sanguinius, and the Khan, then this actually has a better figurehead, since Magnus was kind of like the main one advocating for it. So this actually will create less issues for librarians in 30K, and could very, very easily change what the war looks like. So, yeah, that's a very interesting... Like I said, I kind of want to do videos on all these now. Just what it would look like and how it would affect... how it would affect 40K. Because that would be interesting as hell. Down to the last three. We got 2 long ones and a short one. Take your bets now on which one the short one is. Sure as hell ain't gonna be this one. The Luna Wolves, the 16th Legion. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. So, first off, Horus graciously declines the role of warmaster, saying that there is another more worthy among his brothers, Sanguinius. And then Horus takes his fleet and acts as the spearhead in most conflicts in which he is involved. Kind of the specialization of the Luna Wolves, which is that spearhead. They specialize in direct strike on command areas. So this would be their specialization. So doing this, he also has the opportunity to stay close with both the Emperor or Malcador whenever he's feeling, that almost abandoned feeling, like the Emperor left them out there. So now he can essentially radio back home and be like, but why, Daddy? Why did you leave us? And he is smart enough to know that there's always a way back to Terra to assist in some way, shape, or form. So he knows that he can go back and, talk with Malcador. Like with Malcador coming up with the Inquisition, the Grey Knights, the random pet projects that he's coming up with, Horus would be able to help with some of that, and it would give him that ability to remain close. So it's really interesting going down that rabbit hole, because it kind of kills 2 issues if you think about it. One is he spent way too much time with fucking Erebus. And 2, even before that, he kind of spent too much time feeling abandoned without openly saying anything. Like, why are we out here without help? You left us out here without any guidance whatsoever. This would correct that as well, and I think that would keep him absolutely loyal. The Wordbearers. How do we keep the Wordbearers loyal? Well, man, so now I'm going to preface this with a little bit of lore into the Wordbearers. Back before they were corrupted, one of the coolest stories I've ever found in 30K at least actually revolves around the Wordbearers. And that is, they would send one of their chaplains, one of their chaplains, to a city to be like, surrender or die. And most times they would surrender. If not, the chaplain would get swarmed by humans, because that's the only ones that they would really give that offer to, and would kill hundreds of humans before they would finally be able to take them down, if then. And then you'd see a sea of gray coming over the hills of the rest of them just go and mop up the city. So the Wordbearers do have some cool lore, but how do we keep them loyal and keep that mentality? So first off, understand, I say this with all the love in the world, but the first thing Lorgar does is put a bolt round between the eyes of both Erebus and Corphaeron. Yeah. In order for the Wordbearers to stay loyal, this is the only one where people need to die. Yep. I'm not sorry about it either. They need to die. They actually need to die for the Wordbearers to stay loyal. And then he needs to take the lessons from the Emperor and Malcador the Sigillite on the ideas of worshiping gods more to heart, which I think he can do without Erebus and Corphaeron in his ear. But again, in order for this to happen, he needs to fucking kill both of them. It's bad. So yeah, it's interesting, to say the least. But this is, I think, the only Legion in which I need people to die in order to change their canon. Yeah. Okay. The Alpha Legion. I mean, come on. Of the two canonical legions that no one knows if they're loyal or traitor, Alpha Legion and Dark Angels. So, I think a lot to do with keeping the Alpha Legion loyal, which canonically they're considered loyal, but there are a few things I would do differently. When they are discovered, when Alfarius Asmogan is discovered, they would meet the Emperor. That's number one. Instead of just staying around Horus, they would meet with the Emperor. And they get so overwhelmed by his presence, they essentially become his loyal saboteurs. With no desire to turn traitor, they instead infiltrate the new traitor ranks and are disgusted with what they find, making them potentially one of the most knowledgeable legions of the warps, perhaps only second to the Thousand Sons, and one of the most loyal legions overall, which is actually a very interesting thought. Because think about an Alpha Legion that hates chaos corruption. Which there's no... Well, there are cases of chaos corruption in the Alpha Legion canonically, as well as their willingness to use like demon weapons and stuff. But imagine if the Primarchs meet the Emperor and just breathe this hatred of all things warp and chaos corruption into their legion. Oh, that would be very, very cool. I am looking forward to doing like full-on videos on all this. This would be very interesting, to say the least. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for making it this far. And I just wanted to say a special thank you to my patrons up in this corner who have been supporting my channel for a pretty long time, for most of them. They are the ones who, without them and without the people on my Discord, link in the description, I would never have made it this far with my YouTube channel. So a very special thank you to them. Also, I have two videos. I believe the top one is the one that's recommended per viewer on my channel, and then the one in the bottom is the most recent upload. So give those a check. Let me know what you think on them. But the most important thing of all, I know we're all going through hard times. Just try and be there for one another. Try and lift each other up. That's one of the biggest things I try to make on my Discord, where we're all one big, not necessarily community, but family. And when someone just needs someone just to listen to, just be there for them. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a very wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!